All right. Hey, I think we're live. I'm going to check my signal here to make sure that we're up and running. I'm going to press some social media buttons to make sure that everyone knows that I'm running. And then we're going to do some game design today for Strixhaven. So checking in here on my signal. So sounds loud and clear. So I'm going to drop that down here and keep that volume out of the way. And let me grab the link here so I can post it online. This should take less than a minute, so if you're catching this in the future, you can skip ahead and see me after the bump. But if you're trapped here in space-time with me here now, I'll do my quick intro with you, and then we'll get to work. So my name is Phil Kearney. What's up? I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online, and I've been running games in D&D since 1987. I've been a Magic the Gathering enthusiast since 1994, so naturally I like Strixhaven a lot. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999, and I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2018, which started after the release of the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica setting that Wizards finally started building Magic the Gathering settings to play in D&D, but they left out the magic. It uses the Vancian spell slot system with the 8 schools of magic that's traditional to D&D, just basically picking up the game world and transporting it into the mechanics of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And this is something that a lot of us MTG D&D enthusiasts have been waiting for a long time. And so, well, since they weren't going to do it, it was up to me because no one else had done it. Let's create a color mana system so that you can use MTG color mana system inside the D&D game engine, and thus is created the color mana spell point variant rules that are already published on the DMsGuild. But now that we have new rules for 2024, the character classes are different, so we need to update all the features. Plus, I've been using the color mana system for 7 years now in campaigns. I've ran 2, almost 3 full campaigns, level 1 to 20, using color mana, and a number of one-shots and short adventure runs of various levels. So it works really well, but during all that time, we found ways to make the system better and more enjoyable to use, more streamlined, more free-flowing, to make it a more narrative experience with flexible options instead of the more restrained system that it used to be. So, and then on top of that, we've been developing the martial power system that gives all the martial characters a mana pool to use with their class and subclass features as well. So, including the Scion that's being published, that means that all 14 classes in the 5e game engine now has a common core resource, color mana, to use on casting spells, channeling powers, making use of subclass, class, and racial features that your characters acquire. And so we've been playtesting that. It's coming along incredibly well. And we're also updating the Ravnica renown system, the Theros piety system, and to parallel both of those mechanical concepts in those games, in Strixhaven we've developed the college credit system that all uses the same 3 to 51 point allocation, 3, 15, 27, 39, 51 points that you gain through performing tasks that either advance the goals of either your guild, gods, or college, depending if you're using Ravnica, Theros, or Strixhaven. So today we're going to finish out the rest of Strixhaven with the credit system, and then we're going to kick back into the martial powers document and update the Eldritch Knight, Arcane Trickster. If we have time, we'll update the Warlock as well. And then when we're back on stream tomorrow during our lunch design, we'll get into piety for Theros gods, devotion and worship of Theros gods. And then once we complete that, probably by Monday, we'll be done with all of that player content, and we'll start developing the PvP rules for playing Mage Tower as a sport using the 5e game combat engine in a Strixhaven setting where martial and casting, and you can basically build a character as an athlete, and instead of fighting monsters, you're competing either PvP or players versus DM controlled team to score points and win a match of Mage Tower, which is a lot like Quidditch without the broomsticks. So without further ado, let me fix my screen and we'll dive into today's session. So if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications, because I'm here 9 times per week. Here's a bunch of books I've already created on the DMs Guild. They all have free previews. Check them out. If you think they're cool, consider making a purchase to support similar shenanigans in the future. Here's the color mana bundle specifically using the 2014 rules that we'll be updating probably starting around November. We'll start updating all of these books for the 2024 compliance and republish them. If you already own the color mana system from 2014, that'll still be available in the backlog. But like if you buy it now because you think it's cool, when it updates to 2024, you'll automatically be able to download the revised copy with the 2024 mechanics while still having access to prior editions, which was in the 2014. So it's not like you have to buy it twice. I'm just going to take the same book and just update it for 2024. You already bought it. I'm not going to make you buy it again. I mean, you had hundreds of people that have bought it. God bless you guys. I'm not going to make you all buy the damn book again because D&D changed their edition. That's just rude. So check this stuff out. If you're into, if you want to follow along in the playtest, the Martial Powers playtest document is here, which you're going to click and open up because we're going to be operating inside of here. This is where we have the Strixhaven credit system, which is down around page 230 of this document. This is kind of the master design document that we're using for all the classes and magic items and monsters, spells, and backgrounds and social systems in 5e, all being converted to the color mana system. It's all kind of congregated here. It's a read-only document. You can't cut and paste any of this stuff. I can't give you this to play with. It's read-only. That's one of the terms of the DMs Guild. I can't give this stuff away anywhere else. And since I'm planning on publishing it, I still have to do all the editing, page layout, artwork, and stuff. So this is a very rough alpha draft model. But I'm just trying to remain compliant with the rules of the DMs Guild while letting you guys take a look at what's coming up so you can be excited about it and keep an eye on cool stuff that's coming out of the DMs Guild in the future, including my stuff. So having said that, let me kick down through all of these things. Where are we at right now? We're in Spellcasters. So let's keep kicking down here through the documents to get down to, we're still in Druid, Scion, Sorcerer, Wizard, and here we are. Museum gear, magic items, weapons, power gear, random tables for generating gear using the Martial Power system. And here's the Theros Piety system. Here we are. This is the Strixhaven system. So the the credit system of having 3 credits to have first rank in college, like Lorehold College, you have to have 3 credits accumulated for a Lorehold. And if you take the Lorehold background, you automatically start with 3 credits, so you get access to the Lorehold credit system. 3 points for first. It's basically 3 points per level, so it's 3 at first. By the time you get to 15 points, or roughly at 5th level, you get your second rank of advancement, which is basically getting access to college facilities. By 9th level at 27, this is when the Curriculum of Chaos campaign ends from level 1 to 9. So it ends here, and so you basically become a graduate. And the college facilities that we have listed here is using the Bastion campaign, which clicks on at 5th level. So by the time your team has accumulated 15 points for Gryffindor, they start giving you facilities to use to advance your studies. Either, and like for example, at 5th level, they will, if you create a Bastion on campus, they will automatically give you an arcane study, or for martial characters, a training area to advance your abilities and channeling and using mana for your profession. 7th level is technically a skip, so like if you started with arcane study, at 7th level you can get a training area for free to cover both sides of the spellcaster martial divide. And then at 9th level, you advance to becoming a graduate. Your college facilities advance with either an archive or a library. And at 11th level, you could grab the other one. Those automatically install it for you. And then by the time you get to 13th level, you can become faculty, where you're given orders from your college's dean to perform missions on behalf of the Strixhaven College, and you get more college facilities built into your dormitory bastion, including a trophy room and a crypt. And oh, hey, what's going on, Ryan? You have a campaign idea you're looking for feedback on. Essentially, a town gets cursed to think the attacks and magic they do is real, but it's part of the curse. It's like the town is LARPing, but no, don't know. Okay, good start of a premise. The guy who did it is kidnapping people from the town. From their perspective, they think he is unkillable, but he isn't overly dangerous. The party needs to see past the illusions and break the spell. Okay, well, once they figure out that there's an illusion, they're going to question everything. So be careful about being a one-trick shot. If it's supposed to be a one-shot adventure, it'll work well. You might want to think about how different illusions can trick people, whether it's visual, tactile, olfactory, taste. You might want to manipulate sound, sight, and touch are probably the three most obvious ones. So you want to think about how would an encounter be modified by seeing through the illusion, and what different types of obstacles, like how can they challenge seeing if it's an illusion or not? Because typically, like in the 5e24 game engine, it's just a study action. And if you hit, I think, if you overcome the DC of the spell, or 15, I think, they'll see through the illusion and they'll know it's not real, so they can then disbelieve it. So if you're going to play into that, make sure you have enough depth so it's not just a one-trick solution. That once they figure out what the gimmick is, they'll always be able to see through it, or have plausible denied. Like they'll become disillusioned if they see through it too quickly. So maybe playing with shadow magic, where some of it's actually real. Like have a manifest zone that's like in the gloaming, or aligned with the shadow plane, where the illusions aren't completely real. They're only partially real. So like you could actually have people throwing around identifiable high magic, but when it hits you, it's a heavily reduced effect, so that even if they see through the magic, it has some tangibility to it, so it's still dangerous. So that's a way that you can introduce high-level threats at lower-level difficulties, so it doesn't just, you don't just disintegrate somebody and they die. You know, you hit them and then they get burned or like take necrotic damage, but don't necessarily get killed by it, right? So there, you want to think about steps, because illusions are pretty much an on-off binary choice. So whether you know it's an illusion or you don't. If you don't know it's an illusion, you're going to get tricked by it. If you think it's an illusion, it's not going to trick you at all. So you want to have these steps in between so that there can be degrees of effectiveness. And you can put MacGuffins into the city space that like maybe weakens the manifest zone. So like maybe it starts off like 50% effective, and once they get one of the MacGuffins, it's only 25% effective. And then once they get the other component, or like merge the ritual with the MacGuffin, then it neutralizes it. It makes it 0% real magic at that point. So they know it's an illusion. They know it's going to have a reduced effect, but that doesn't mean that they get through it scot-free. It just means that they'll have advantage or bonuses or resistance, ways to be able to mitigate and reduce what the effect would be if they don't know it's an illusion, and then mix in things that actually are real, so that they're always having to they second guess themselves a lot. That would be my suggestion, because you want to make it complex enough that there's a puzzle challenge to it, and that it's more than just one solution, that once they figure it out, the whole thing is just kind of spilled. Does that make sense? So he was thinking about the danger to the town and them burying the citizens alive. I think they died from something. So most of the damage comes from the town hurting itself. But this is coming from the perspective of the players. How are the players going to engage with it for like 4 to 7 encounters worth of interesting scenarios, where like this is a big threat to the citizens, but like if the players don't know people are being buried alive, for instance, then they're just gonna die because they're underground and they're just gonna suffocate, and that's not really something that the players can buy into. You see, you want to make it something that's engaging. You can have that as a back motif, as a narrative that's going inside of the game, and have that running as like background radiation of here's weird activities. But until the team sees through the illusions, they think it's real too. So once they see through the illusion, there has to be more to continue challenging them. Again, because once you see through the illusions, it doesn't work on you anymore. Unless there's degrees of strength that they have to like wade through as they gain more power or push their way through the adventure. And currently with the illusion, again, if they see through it, it's spoiled. So, and if they can't see through it, it may as well be real, because you're going to have to pace the difficulty to be where the characters are at, so they don't get one shot by stuff. Because once they succeed, none of it's effective anymore, unless you have degrees of success or degrees of realism that they can't just get past without doing something special. But I like the core of it. So basically I'm saying it's a good premise to work with. It needs more cooking so that the players are going to have it, so it's engaging and interesting to the players, and that they sense that there's like a puzzle or a mystery here that they have to figure out that isn't just seen through. So hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully that's not discouraging. But I like the idea, but I immediately go to how can I take that idea and keep it fresh, interesting, and challenging for like 3 to 5, maybe 6 encounters, that as they continue engaging with the material, they gain more and more understanding of it, so that they're working as a team and their problem solving is what overcomes the challenge, instead of it just being like a study check and then it's over. Like the binariness of like Rangers of like neutralizing exploration, illusion, seeing through illusions is kind of the same way, you know? Because once the players don't believe an effect is real, you're gonna have a really hard time making the characters interact with it properly, because they won't be able to help but metagame, because in their mind, my characters saw through that illusion, I now question everything that's here. So you have to mix it up like that. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. Well, good. But yeah, I like the core of it. It's a cool idea. Because you're working with illusion, you can do all sorts of crazy shit that if you build it deep enough, the players won't know what's real and what isn't. So they could even get to a point where they're psyching themselves out, and they get hit by stuff that they shouldn't get hit by, or they get tricked by things that you didn't think they were going to trick them. Because if you lead them down to this insecurity of not really knowing what's happening, they'll psych themselves out, and then they'll blame themselves for getting psyched. And it'll be fun, but if you make it short enough that it has a couple little twists to it that they got to figure out, them being able to figure it out basically makes it an adventure-long puzzle that they'll feel smart when they figure out ways to get through it. And to that point, a general suggestion I have as a DM, anytime that you're doing puzzles, anything that they come up with that might be plausible, that works, should work, so that they're encouraged to keep thinking out of the box and they're not told no, because then they're just going to guess. What does the DM want me to do? And that takes them out of the, pardon the pun, the illusion of the adventure. Because their ideas don't work, it means that they're operating under somebody else's physics. And since you guys don't think the same, they're never going to connect the way that you want them to. Puzzles have that problem. And this is a puzzle that you're basically making. This illusion situation is a puzzle. So it has to be approached from that angle. And so you have to have layers to it, so it's not just I found the lever, I pull it, the trap is disarmed. Well, if there's not 15 more traps in this dungeon, then I guess we're done with traps, right? So yeah, this is there's a ton of directions you can take from it. The graveyard idea is cool, because if your team can see through the illusions and realize that people are buried there, there could be shadow monsters like wraiths or something that's actually like farming them for essence while they stay in their little grave, for instance. So you have to either pull them out of the grave because you know it's an illusion, or wake them up out of it while they're being attacked by like maybe low level or low risk undead that would kill an NPC. But the threat is that they are killing the NPCs, not that the players are necessarily being directly threatened. So it's like an alternate success, like there's an alternate win scenario in that either killing the monsters or awakening the NPCs. Like if a wraith is feeding on somebody that's in a grave, once they're out of the grave, maybe the shadows can't feed on them anymore. So you starve them by pulling them out of the grave, or awakening them so that they can get themselves out of the grave. So you could have multiple threats that divides up the team's attention, but the solution is easy. It just takes coordination so you don't lose anybody, right? Like is one example. But yeah, there's a ton of different ways you could play with that. It's a cool idea. All right, back on track. Working with Strixhaven backgrounds. 13th level, your character becomes faculty, and then you start taking, getting order. Well, at the graduate level, you're taking orders from your teachers because you're like an understudy, and then when you advance to faculty, you start taking orders from the dean. And at 51, at 17th level, you become part of the collegiate council, basically an equal to the dean, taking orders from, in this case, the Dragon Lorehold itself, and then the college facilities that you get as a reliquary and a sacristy, and of course it uses our standard mechanics of the Bastion campaign, which is linked here. And you can look at this as well, which is, again, it's read-only. But the Bastion system, the Bastion campaign system that we've developed takes the Bastions that are in the DMG 2024 and makes skill challenges out of them that when your character issues orders to your Bastion, the Bastion is treated as a sidekick that's making its own ability checks to see if it succeeds at the orders that you issue. If it succeeds the check, it's pretty binary. If they succeed the check, the thing happens like during the next Bastion turn, the thing gets done, and then you can issue a new order because this task has been completed. If they fail the ability check, it creates a complication, which could be, which is assumed to be an adventure seed, a plot hook. You're failing this task means that something's going wrong that's preventing the order from being completed. So you have to tap your characters to go in and fix whatever problem it is that's preventing this task from getting completed. We want to make full plate armor to equip our fighter better. So we issue to the armory in order to create plate mail armor, but the Bastion failed the die roll. So although, and then you'll roll on the random table that we have in here for each of the facilities, like the type of orders that you're issuing, what goes wrong with that order, what type of a problem happens, and then you take the seed of, like, for example, the metal that you were supposed to use to make that armor is like cursed, for instance. Like, how the fuck did how did the ore in this get cursed? I don't know, but say your characters aren't capable of removing the curse, so they need to find out, like, shitty armor, this cursed ore, get it out of here.